What's up, guys? Welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. Kiwi Knight, here to give you proper diagnosis and prognosis and everything comics and comic book characters. We are still dealing with AAPI, AANHPI month, right? I'm super glad that they added Native Hawaiian in there, because why wouldn't you? We are back again with comic book characters you may or may not know about. And today we are talking about Kiwi Black from Marvel Comics. Now, Kiwi Black is a Maori mutant who was bred by the ancient mutant Azazel. And Azazel was stuck in the Brimstone dimension for like thousands of years, and he could only come to Earth for short periods of time. So in order to free himself, he literally just had a shit ton of fucking kids. Now, after siring all of these kids, a lot of them had developed the ability to teleport either to or through the Brimstone dimension. And two of those would be Abyss and Nightcrawler. So he then decided to control their minds and get them to go to the Ilha de Dominus to perform a ritual which would physically combine all of them, and it would also combine their powers so that they could open a portal big enough for not only him but his entire army to get through to Earth. Sorry, the island is called La Isla de Demones. I feel like I said that, but just in case I didn't, that's what it's called. Now, enter Kiwi Black. Kiwi Black is not a teleporter. So because he wasn't a teleporter, he couldn't participate in the ritual. Talk about exclusion. So he was ordered to guard his half siblings so that they could complete that ritual and not be interrupted or anything like that from any outsiders. Now, he fought very hard up against Azazel's control. However, Azazel has been doing this for a very long time. So Kiwi stood absolutely no fucking chance. And he ended up just following his father's orders and protecting his half siblings. Now, of course, because Nightcrawler is involved, the X-Men also have to be involved. So the X-Men followed Nightcrawler and they stumbled upon the ritual that was happening, and Husk tried to break the circle and save Nightcrawler. Now, when they did get there, the portal was already halfway open, and Azazel and several of his members of the army he was trying to bring through were had already passed through. So kind of late, right? But they were trying. So Husk again tried to save Nightcrawler in particular, but she was attacked by Kiwi Black. Now, while this is happening, Husk and Kiwi are fighting, and the ritual is literally still happening. Azazel's army supposedly kill Iceman with a bunch of these crazy ass arrows, and then they end up shooting, which caused him to explode, and then they end up shooting Havoc with those same arrows, seemingly causing him to explode. However, that whole situation reversed the effects of the ritual, and instead of the army and everybody coming out of the Brimstone dimension, everybody went in to the Brimstone dimension. Something tells me that was indeed not part of the plan, and you probably should have stuck to it. Almost all of the children were, all of Azazel's kids, almost all of them were killed during this explosion and reverse ritual thing back into the Brimstone dimension, except for Abyss, Kiwi, and Nightcrawler. Now, they ended up going back to Azazel's castle, and he revealed to them that he was their dad. Which is odd, because how did you come to the island to perform the ritual? Did y'all just think that he was just person under control? I mean, y'all also kind of Nightcrawler especially looks like him. So it's what are we doing? But he was hey, Luke, I am your father, right? So he then expressed his disappointment in Kiwi Black for not doing his duty to protect his siblings very well. I was doing just fine. It was not until your other minions from your fucking army decided to kill 2 X-Men and reverse the effects of the ritual, which brought us all here, and then your kids died. I don't know how that part is my fault. That seems more like your thing. So because he was like so disappointed in him not being able to perform his duty well, and also he was mad that he wasn't a teleporter. I'm not able to choose my powers. I don't know what you want me to do about that. None of the reasons he was pissed off at Kiwi Black made any sense. And honestly, if I were Kiwi, I would have whooped his ass, but that's just me. So he decided that because he's not a teleporter, which is not his fault, and because he didn't do his duty very well, which was also not his fault, he was going to be tortured by Orphis. By Ophis, sorry. Now, he was able to escape the torture, and he ended up killing Idrisil and freeing Angel. They also wanted to free Wolverine, who was being tortured by Ophis as well, but the castle was being like destroyed and torn down by Polaris, who had ripped open the dimensional rift in Abyss so that they could all leave. However, someone else did go save Wolverine. So Wolverine was able to get out of there. But, you know, Kiwi, Abyss, all of them, the X-Men, all of them were able to get out of that Brimstone dimension. And Azazel and his people, his army of people, were left there. Now, Kiwi did manage to spend a lot of time with his half-siblings while they were at the Xavier School. And then also during M-Day, he was one of the mutants to lose his powers, but it does not say. Abyss also lost his powers, and then Abyss later on had his neck snapped by his father during Fall of X. So I think he ended up getting his powers back, but I don't know about Kiwi. It doesn't say anything beyond that. So there was that. So as for his abilities that he had, it was energy channeling, and he was able to channel an unknown energy into his weapon and use it. But nobody knew what the energy was, and nobody really knew the effects of it. And then, of course, he lost those powers. He is bilingual, so he speaks Maori and he speaks English. The weapon that he was using to channel that energy that he had was a Maori Patu club, and that is actually what he used to decapitate Idrisil. I can only imagine. So interestingly enough, there's a Marvel book. It's like an atlas that was put out in New Zealand that says he is a teleporter. However, according to Marvel officially, so Uncanny X-Men number 433, I believe, he is not. He's not a teleporter. And it just like continued on with that, the fact that his father was disappointed that he wasn't a teleporter. So, I don't know. Print error. This character is very interesting. He doesn't look like Abyss or Nightcrawler or Azazel for that matter. So that was interesting. I wasn't sure what I expected him to look like. I feel like I feel like they would have had like the same eyes almost, because there's the fact that they don't have pupils. Like their eyes are just a color. And that goes for both Abyss and Nightcrawler. So, you know, I don't know. And I kind of wish they would have brought him back, because they ended up bringing Abyss to the island and giving him his powers back. I kind of wish they would have done the same for Kiwi, but you know, who knows. The character is interesting. I would like to see him be brought back, especially since we are in this new era of X-Men. So, you know, it is what it is. But that is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office, and I will see you guys at your next checkup.